We now know the name of that white supremacist Karen who was running around throwing around that N-word with the hard ER like it was going out of style multiple times to a 5-year-old black child who had autism, and her name is Shiloh Hendricks. Now, this Shiloh Hendricks white supremacist has earned, upwards of $300,000 to $500,000 in their GoFundMe account, and there's conflicting stories on the exact number, the exact amount of money she's earned. But I think one thing that we can all agree on, is that this woman has earned a whole heaping amount of money through that, GoFundMe account, and her GoFundMe account's name, was or is, help me protect my family. She's saying that she's scared her personal information has been leaked, this, that, and the other. And what I'll say to that is, you for sure as hell wasn't scared and afraid when you was running around, throwing around that N-word with the hard ER multiple times at a 5-year-old black child who had autism. So you can miss me with that. And if the family ever needed any proof and evidence on if the system of racism, white supremacy is still alive and well, this is it right here. Unfortunately, the system of racism, white supremacy is still alive and intact, because it shows you right here in this story that, white supremacists all over were getting on code and, dumping money into this woman's GoFundMe account. And this is why I always say, you could take the poorest of poor, dirt poor, trailer park trash white person. That dirt poor, trailer park trash white person has still got $1 billion worth of whiteness that works directly in their favor, and a welfare system of unearned benefits, that looks out for and coddles and pampers them. And that welfare system is called racism, white supremacy. Because I just put out this story to show you the double standards, the racialized standards that exist inside the so-called justice system between white people and black people. Here, we were trying to raise money on GoFundMe for our brother Karmello Anthony, and the white supremacists and collaborators, had a whole hissy fit. We're getting the page hit, getting it tore down. So Karmello Anthony, our brother's family, had to go to, Give Send Go to get the funds up, and they ain't got a problem, with this, white supremacist Karen earning money. But on the other hand, they had a whole hissy fit, white supremacists and white supremacy collaborators, that our brother Karmello Anthony earned that type of money. See, they didn't expect us on the black FBA grassroots to get behind our brother like that and financially back our brother. See, the thing is, in a white supremacist society, they expect black folks to lay around docile and dormant and absorb racialized abuse coming from the dominant white society. Damn that, and damn anyone pushing that whole narrative. We are foundational black Americans, the only real true resistance in this whole world to the system of racism, white supremacy, relentlessly, without letting up. But in closing, our brother Carmelo Anthony's actions, was justified, and he's down there in Texas, which is a stand your ground state. So if stand your ground is going to work for white people, it's for sure as hell, going to work for black people. We ain't going to have these double racialized standards existing in this so-called justice system, you know. And, this is why I put this whole story out, because, they want to throw a whole hissy fit on one hand, when we raised and, got them funds together and backed our brother Carmelo Anthony, who was justified in his actions. It was self-defense, him defending himself. We as black people got a right, to defend ourselves against any threat or perceived threat, So, he was justified in that because them two, white supremacist brothers, the Metcalfs, they put their hands on our brother, truth be told. So he did what he had to do, defended himself, So anyone who's saying that he didn't defend himself, this, that, or the other, coming up with any excuse under the sun, they could miss me with that whole narrative. And this particular story of, this white supremacist, Shiloh Hendricks, raising up all this money, it shows you that people don't have a problem with this, the double racialized standards that exist inside the so-called justice system. It shows you the sheer hypocrisy and injustice that exists inside that so-called justice system as well. Just my thoughts on the matter. Peace.